Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. I am a Reiatsu player with all points, and I stun all the Marines at the start. Chapter 21. Other people's souls are no different from the original body. What the person is, the soul is basically the same. In this world, Wonkwon is real. Brooks' experience and the experiences he mentioned all prove this point. The soul is also real. Levi can also see people's souls after possessing Reiatsu. But when a person is alive, his soul overlaps with his body. And exactly the same as myself. Nothing special. But Luffy stood up from Reiatsu at this moment. His soul is full of vicissitudes of life. It seems to have gone through many years of precipitation. And the soul is different from ordinary people. Most people's souls are transparent. But there's something dark and unclear about Luffy's soul. And staring at those places, Levi found that someone seemed to be staring at him. There is indeed a secret about Straw Hat. Does Garp know something? Or is there some special fruit power user that can make people in the past choose the current Luffy to become the representative? Or maybe someone played a game of chess on Luffy. It's impossible. Would people in this world calculate this far? Levi was full of doubts at first. But the fluctuations of the soul are the most real. The soul in Luffy is not entirely his own. Then think of the fruit ability users and various prophecies in Tianyu. Levi thinks someone is playing a big game against Luffy. Or it's entirely possible to cross time and place something on Luffy. Even taking a bold guess. Maybe Tianyushi traveled through time more than 800 years ago. She might not be alone when she comes. Instead, there is a whole team of people who arrive at different time periods. Find the right talent or look for a specific place. But in the end, he found Odin and stayed with him. Because Odin's Wanokuni holds many secrets of this world. The forger of this historical article once closed his country to avoid disaster. Must be an important node in the search for Raftel or the truth about the world. Tianyushi's arrival in this country may mean that her mission has been achieved. The soul has a very keen perception, but others, including Garp, don't have it. Could this be the legendary ability to hear the sounds of all things? Even my Reiatsu detection, it seems that there is some kind of power deep in the Straw Hat's soul. You can all feel it, it's interesting. From now on, everyone, run away with all your strength. We are no match for these guys now. Luffy gave the captain's order. Even though Luffy has always refused to admit defeat, he is very confident. At this moment, I have to admit that there is a huge gap between myself and these guys in front of me. Long live escape. Usopp and Nami shouted in unison, then ran away. Luffy also struggled out of the Reiatsu pillar. It seemed like there was some power deep in his soul helping him, stimulating his physical potential. But Levi wasn't about to let Luffy escape. Bear's impact. At this time, the bear took action to stop it. He opened his hands, and an air cannon that he compressed into a transparent bear paw slowly flew towards Levi. As soon as it comes into contact, a terrifying explosion and shock wave will be released. This move once covered the entire ship of terror. This obstruction also means that he is completely hostile to Marine. But to him, it doesn't matter. Because with the transformation of Dr. Becca Punk, his consciousness is about to disappear. Even if something is exposed, he will not reveal the secrets of the Revolutionary Army. After returning this time, the final renovation will be carried out. As for attacking Marine, as long as he doesn't admit it, it can be assumed that there is a problem with the mechanical processing chip. At the same time, Levi can make the first move, so he can find any excuse. It doesn't matter whether you believe Marine or not, and it doesn't matter whether you believe world government. When the experiment reaches the final step, he is considered a prisoner. They also use their own. Not to mention, he is not a prisoner yet. Although Luffy let everyone escape. But he stepped into Zoro's Reiatsu pillar alone, trying to take Zoro away. Nami, Sanji and the others can only believe in Luffy now. With their strength, staying would be even more of a hindrance. The transparent bear mark condensed by the air cannon blasted towards Levi. Levi kept walking towards Luffy without changing his expression. The bear impact is coming. Touch. Boom. Terrifying explosions and air shock waves roared, destroying everything around them. Trees, houses, and rocks were all blown to pieces. But Levi is wrapped in light blue Reiatsu. A protective barrier was formed, and the sky was shattered by air cannonballs. Levi's clothes were not damaged at all. Bartholomew Kuma, what do you mean? Zon Momomaru's face immediately turned evil when he saw Tyrant Bear attacking Marine Admiral openly. Is there really something wrong with Tyrant Bear? Didn't you just want to take down the Straw Hat? But have other plans? Otherwise, after being attacked by Levi, why would he fight back without any doubts? Unusual. Gathering. Diversion. Levi stretched his body, with Levi as the center. Thousands of Reiatsu suddenly appeared from the ground. It's just that these Reiatsu light beams are not that thick, they are only about the size of a little finger. Like a forest, it densely covers a radius of tens of thousands of meters, and the top is connected to the sky. It looks very spectacular, magnificent and breathtaking. The entire Sabayati archipelago looked up to the sky. I felt a strong sense of uneasiness in my heart. What exactly is going on? Why does it feel like the Sabayati archipelago has become less like a human being? Like the end of the world, like hell. What is this? Is it God's means? Zon Taowen was a little stunned when he looked at the scene in front of him. He could feel the power of these tiny beams of shunt light. As soon as these shunts appeared, Reiatsu gradually surrounded Luffy and Tyrant Bear like a birdcage, shrinking them. As soon as Luffy pulled Zoro out of the Reiatsu beam, he was surrounded again. Every time the body passes through a shunt Reiatsu, the speed is greatly reduced. Because Reiatsu is too heavy. As if caught in a slow light. Ghost energy, 9 swordsman style. Zoro transformed into a 3-headed and 6-armed evil spirit and slashed at these Reiatsu streams. But it's a pity that no matter how powerful his slash is, he can't crush Levi's Reiatsu at this moment. Even if it's just a small diversion. Whatever he means, I'll stop him and you go catch him. Gion saw the Tyrant Bear and wanted to take action. He drew his sword and slashed at it, blocking the Tyrant Bear's attack. Created great conditions for Levi. Young man, why do you have to kill everyone when you do something? Just give the young shoots a way to survive. But at this time, a slightly old and heavy voice sounded. Even as he spoke, he already swung his sword at Levi. The sword light suddenly flashed, and the cold air was overwhelming. It was much sharper, more precise and more fierce than Gion's sword light. We're finally here, Silver Rayleigh. Levi's expression remained unchanged. Instead, he took a step forward, a very heavy step. The ground instantly sunk into a large pit, and a destructive Reiatsu burst out from Levi. It hurts the soul. It's like evil ghosts and ominous crows are chirping and attacking the enemy. There is an air of madness and death. What a terrifying pressure. The old man has lived for so many years and has never seen this kind of Haki that is full of death and looks like a Shinigami. It looks like Conqueror's Haki, but it seems more special. The person had long curly silver white hair, wore glasses, and had a straight scar on his right eye. Holding a famous sword with cold light. And at this moment, this sword is like a soul-killing sword sweeping towards Levi's neck. Boom. The sword collides with Reiatsu, Levi's unknown soul-real wound. A terrifying ripple of energy turned into a terrifying shock wave that shot straight into the sky. Both of them were deliberately controlling the direction of the aftermath of the attack. If you really want to be unscrupulous, the entire Sabayati archipelago will immediately cause a major earthquake and unprecedented disaster. Blocked. A strange color flashed across Rayleigh's sharp eyes. Blocking. This was expected. After all, this young man is the 4th admiral. How could that old fox Sengoku become a marine admiral without any skills? It's impossible that he can't even take a random blow from himself. But he didn't even raise his hand. Just a thought, using the unique Conqueror's Haki essence, turned into a shock wave, blocking it in this way. It certainly exceeded Rayleigh's predictions. And judging from Levi's words and his still calm expression, it was as if he had guessed that he would appear. This feeling that the opponent has already predicted it is not very good for Rayleigh. Although he has been hiding in Sabayati archipelago anonymously. But if you really want to look for it, you can still find some clues. The reason why Marine and world government have not launched a large-scale manhunt for him. It was due to consideration of the possible losses and the fact that he had been keeping a low profile. If you can do it without any effort, wait until he dies peacefully without causing trouble. World government is also acceptable. But now that we have taken the initiative, it will not be so easy to live a peaceful life. And as others expected, this situation was not what Rayleigh wanted. Young man, let's stop here. But thinking about it, Rayleigh is also a decisive person. There are some things that you won't regret once you decide to do them. That's not okay. Levi shook his head calmly, wishing he could stop. Levi won't be coming, so why not let the original actor Kizaru come? They are not the vicious pirates you think. Seeing that Levi was young, Rayleigh thought it would be best if he could persuade Levi to give up and not fight. I know. Levi nodded truthfully. Then you should know that this is not necessary. Rayleigh was a little surprised, and he saw Levi's understanding look. It doesn't feel like lying, and there is no need to lie. No, this is necessary, because he is my credit, and you are also credit. If the probability of Straw Hat bringing it is only 50%, but if you are included, it is basically 99% yes. Thank you in advance. Levi suddenly smiled greedily. Young man, you are really ambitious. It doesn't make sense. Rayleigh glanced at Luffy from the corner of his eyes. This person is very similar to the captain. Maybe it's time for him to take a gamble. I don't have much time left to live. Do I still have the right to wait any longer? He seemed to have the aura of Captain Roger. But now in Levi's precision-oriented Reiatsu. Luffy, Zoro and the two were unable to escape for a while. Reiatsu's thin pillars shrank and the space became increasingly cramped. The two of them were unable to move even an inch. Walking in the Reiatsu was like carrying 100,000 heavy mountain on their backs. So Levi doesn't worry about them escaping. I also want to see the strength of One Piece's deputy. This is Levi's innermost thoughts. Then I'm not polite. No matter whether it's a pirate or a marine, in the end, strength will speak for itself. Rayleigh said. The body is filled with the aura of a tyrant, fierce and domineering, with traces of Black Conqueror's Haki wrapped around the famous sword. The aura of a downtrodden uncle in his whole body suddenly became as sharp as an unsheathed sword. He decided that the young man in front of him was worthy of fighting with all his strength. And this is the real him. The former Overlord Sword, Pluden Rayleigh, a ghost-like existence. Pluden Rayleigh, why is he here? Gion and Zan Momomaru were both shocked. Pluden Rayleigh, one of the world's most legendary pirates. The deputy of the Pirate King and one of the top swordsmen in the past. His swordsmanship is ferocious and domineering, like an evil ghost, so he is called Pluden. His deeds have been written about in many books by the world government. Serve as a negative teaching material to educate the people of the world. Even if he is old, he still wants to take action against this legend. You still need to be mentally prepared to pay a huge price. Now comes suddenly, Zan Momomaru and Gion feel very heavy. Is this the change he said? But how did he expect it? Gion looked at Levi who was facing Rayleigh, full of confusion. But now is not the time to delve into this. She wanted to take down the Straw Hats and the others as soon as possible. As long as they are taken down, Rayleigh will have no target to save. It is very likely that he will give up and leave. If he took action, it might just be a whim. Judging from the situation, Straw Hat Luffy has just arrived at Tsubayati Archipelago not long ago. It is unlikely that he has any deep friendship with Pluden Rayleigh. PX, let's stop the bear. Zan Taomaru looked at the battlefield and did not choose to ignore it. He takes the pacifists to stop the bear and trades places with Gion. Zan Momomaru once claimed that he was the most defensive man in the world. But is it true or false? At least it proves that he is good at defense. And now, he controls emission level Haki. Even if Levi is not here, according to the development of things, Luffy will be there later. They will also be knocked out of the air by his palm. This is enough to show that his combat power is superior to many vice admirals. Not to say it's stronger than Gion, but it's not that much weaker either. Now take the pacifist, with his defense. Coupled with the understanding of the tyrant bear, it is no problem to stop the tyrant bear. Gion, on the other hand, has strong combat power and sharp attacks, plus Levi's Reiatsu pillars interfere with him. It is entirely possible to take down the Straw Hats in the shortest possible time. As for the battle between Levi and Pluden Rayleigh, from Zan Momomaru's point of view, it shouldn't be that easy to determine the winner. I won't let you go easy. If you can block my attack, you will live. If you can't block it, you will die. As soon as the bear was blocked, Gion raised his sword and struck at Zoro. Zoro was startled, Cold sweat broke out on his forehead, but he still reacted quickly. 3 swords were crossed, and his keen perception allowed him to capture the Gion Vice Admiral's sword. With a loud roar, Zoro was directly knocked away by Gion. You can see it, but the strength and speed can't match it. There is a big gap. A woman has such a powerful power. What is that power covering the weapon? Zoro was horrified. At the same time, he remembered the woman who had always dominated his swordsmanship in his childhood memories, Kuina. If she had survived, would she be as powerful as this woman today? Just as Gion was preparing to pursue the victory, Luffy transformed into second gear. A jet rubber machine gun fired at them, but they were all blocked by Gion. At the same time, an airborne emission knocked Luffy away. Not to mention Zoro and Luffy, who encountered pacifists before they were seriously injured. Even if Zoro was intact, Luffy didn't consume so much energy just now. Against Gion, they had no haki and no fighting experience, and their swordsmanship was not as good as Gion's. He is also destined to be defeated. But they still have a chance to resist. After all, Gion isn't a real admiral yet. Okay, but the most important thing is the battlefield on Rayleigh and Levi's side. Rayleigh got serious though. But I don't plan to fight, I only need to entangle the Marine headquarters with the highest combat power. Just create a route for the Straw Hats to leave. Once the 2 of them leave, he can withdraw. There is no need to decide the winner. Therefore, Rayleigh's first sword, wide open and close, was not aimed accurately at Levi. Instead, it covers the entire area. Rayleigh, entangled with the Black Conqueror's Haki, is more terrifying and powerful than simply entangled with the armament Haki. There seemed to be an evil ghost condensed behind him, and a cold aura like Shira condensed. Then he raised his long sword high and swung it, causing the void to tremble, and even Levi's Reiatsu pillar was affected. The small pillar of Reiatsu that was close to Rayleigh was shattered by the sword force rising to the sky. Cut vertically, it contains the rhyme of swordsmanship from simplicity to simplicity. A majestic sword energy that could almost compete with the mountain peaks spurted out. Covering a large area, the sword energy roared like a violent storm. The atmosphere keeps making harsh sonic booms. One sword, extremely domineering and majestic. Make the world change color. No weaker than Hawkeye. Gion only took one look and came to a conclusion that she couldn't believe. The legendary pirate is almost equal to the admiral. It seems that he should not be underestimated. Levi commented, looking at the sword energy. I've never seen him use anything other than Haki. Maybe I can see him now. Gion looked at Levi with a little anticipation. But Levi just shouted softly. Everyone saw that streams of Conqueror's Haki formed light blue streams with black outlines behind Levi. As Levi stepped out in one step, hundreds of streams rushed straight towards the majestic sword energy. In an instant, the sound of earth-shattering explosions and roars echoed in the air. Shock waves and energy tides collide wildly. The surrounding Reiatsu pillars continue to collapse. Barbarian Ghost Sword. Rayleigh's black Haki was monstrous, covering the sky and the sun, and the sword light all around was sweeping the heaven and earth, and even cracks appeared in the atmosphere. In an instant, hundreds of sword energies bombarded Levi. Waves of Reiatsu flow around Levi, crushing all Rayleigh's attacks. At the same time, he moved closer to Rayleigh step by step. The two continued to fight, shattering everything in the atmosphere. Make everyone around you tremble. Too strong. Even if Vice Admiral is accidentally dragged in, he may not be able to survive. After reaching a certain distance, Levi will instantly change the real soul damage to soul deterrence. And explode with all your strength, raising it to the maximum. Boom. An unparalleled sense of oppression broke out, making Rayleigh feel even more stressed. I even felt a little scared. But Rayleigh refused to admit defeat and soon unleashed the powerful Conqueror's Haki. At this moment, Levi smiled. As expected, a strong man is more confident. Pluton Rayleigh, you shouldn't fight Conqueror's Haki with me. Rayleigh didn't understand what Levi meant by this. What happened to Conqueror's Haki duel? Although my body is getting old, I am still 76. But Conqueror's Haki doesn't let age weaken it. Conqueror's Haki represents a person's courage and willpower. It is not a direct manifestation of combat power, although it can also be used for entanglement. But it's more of a competition of willpower. Rayleigh was so excited that she couldn't help but cast Conqueror's Haki. Because there are not many strong men like Levi in the world. And being so young deserves to be taken seriously. He didn't think he would lose in Conqueror's Haki at all. Over the years, he has never put down the sword in his hand. Instead, sharpen it and wait for the final moment. Then bright sword whirled. So Rayleigh saw Levi getting aggressive step by step. Rayleigh, who owns Conqueror's Haki, is naturally not to be outdone. He is not someone who gives in easily. If he gives in easily and gives in, he doesn't deserve Conqueror's Haki. To put it bluntly, Conqueror's Haki loses the battle. It also cannot affect or determine the final result. I can only say that I am not as good as Levi in terms of courage. Regardless of the outcome, Rayleigh couldn't figure out why Levi said that. I shouldn't have used Conqueror's Haki. Why? Rayleigh is puzzled, but the competition between the two in terms of courage and intimidation suddenly began to collide. There was a loud noise, and the entire Sabayati archipelago shook violently. Many people ran screaming into the square. They all thought it was an earthquake. A light blue circle with a black outline. The Reiatsu shock wave blasted towards Rayleigh's golden circle Conqueror's Haki. The two are like two giant beasts colliding, refusing to give in to each other. You pushed me so hard that we were blasted in midair. With each passing second, this collision renders hundreds of people unconscious throughout the Sabayati archipelago. And those are just ripples. The Conqueror's duel was so terrifying. Zon Taowen couldn't help but be horrified as he looked at the two people at the center of the duel. Conqueror's Haki is already rare. I want to see two strong men with similar strength competing on the sea, who also have Conqueror's Haki. It's so difficult. Under normal circumstances, some people may not meet them once in their lifetime. But after meeting the person, I wish I had not met him. Luffy and Zoro endure the aftermath of this confrontation. It became more and more difficult, and their consciousness gradually became blurred. Only the last trace of unwillingness remains. Gion gritted her teeth. This kind of confrontation is too violent. It was obviously not a killing contest, but it still made them feel an unprecedented sense of oppression. The look in your eyes is not what someone who is dedicated to taking care of his old age should have. Are you waiting or planning something? Levi felt Rayleigh's will. Some things that were once speculated have become reality at this moment. If you are someone who only cares about your retirement, you will never be able to compete with your Reiatsu to this extent with Conqueror's Haki. Cough. Rayleigh suddenly coughed slightly, and her body seemed to be unable to bear it. But it's well covered up. However, Levi suddenly saw that Rayleigh seemed to have old injuries. Not as healthy as he usually appears. You know, in terms of age, he is 4 years older than Whitebeard. And he was also very hardworking when he was young, which was somewhat hidden. In this world, Garp should be the only one among the elderly who can exert his full combat power regardless of his age. Almost none of the old monsters and legends from the old era can be as evil as Garp. Time is a terrible thing. It seems you also have a lot of things you want to know. Rayleigh smiled calmly. Everyone has curiosity. Becoming an admiral at such a young age is indeed something extraordinary. But you are still young. Have you ever thought about what would you do if the justice you insist on is not correct? Rayleigh looked at Levi and asked seriously. Although there were only a few confrontations, Levi deliberately controlled the scope of the aftermath. He is not the hawkish marine like Akainu who pursues victory regardless of the life and death of the people. But it has its own bottom line. Why do you all think I'm fighting for justice? I don't have that kind of thing. Rayleigh was stunned by Levi's words. Not fighting for justice. It shouldn't be. If you don't stand for justice, why are you holding on to the straw hat? His grandfather was a Garp, after Eni's lobby. It has already spread in the underground world. Not doing this for the sake of justice in your heart may offend the marine hero. It seems unnecessary, and young people should be the easiest to be brainwashed by justice. With Levi's strength, Rayleigh feels that he is definitely not afraid of Garp. But there is no reason to offend a being with such terrifying influence in marine. What for? And Rayleigh couldn't believe that those words just came out of the mouth of a marine admiral. This is really rare, a marine admiral who has no justice in his heart. So what's on his mind? Although I don't know what you and Roger are planning, maybe it is more important than the chaos of an era. Saving all mankind. Or is it to revive something more important than life? But these actually have nothing to do with me, there's only one thing I've always believed in. What? Rayleigh Conqueror's Haki kept shouting, but was also curious about everything Levi said. Strength. As long as I have strength, no matter what chess you two play or what the final result is, I have the possibility to turn things around. And for this strength, I need you to be my military exploits. Levi said truthfully, this is nothing. Very hidden. Because that's what he believes. For the strongest. Ha ha ha, you are so young and energetic. This means becoming the strongest person in the world. Can you do it? Rayleigh suddenly felt that Levi was an interesting person. He sees world government and pirate legends like them as his stepping stones. Even Captain Roger rocks at his most powerful. I have never been so arrogant. No wonder Conqueror's Haki is so scary at such a young age. It turns out that in his perception, everything in the world will surrender under his feet in the future. Will he become the strongest person? Is this difficult? Quote. Ha 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 ha. Funny kid. Go all out. This way, no matter whether you win or lose, you will live up to your reputation as a man. Rayleigh said frankly. As he spoke, Conqueror's was also upgraded to ultimate. As you wish, don't worry, I will make full use of the credit you have brought to me. Levi said lightly. You are so confident, but unfortunately, it should be me who wins. Rayleigh is very confident in herself. Conqueror's Haki keeps pounding Levi. It's a pity that I couldn't get more things. But there are some things that I'm afraid you won't reveal until the time comes. I just don't know if you will have this opportunity in the future. Levi said. His body was like a floodgate, and with a bang, it all opened instantly. Countless Reiatsu streams became more and more violent in an instant. It's like a tsunami making waves has been cut into sections and controlled in your hands. Then, as if it came to life, Reiatsu surged to form a giant mouth and sharp claws. With a sneer, like a sharp weapon, a gash was cut in Rayleigh's Conqueror's Haki. PFF'd. Rayleigh was caught off guard and was immediately taken a step back. His internal organs and mind were violently impacted, and he opened his mouth and vomited blood. Then he showed a look of disbelief. How is it possible? Conqueror's Haki can still be used in this way. Attack with imitation objects. Impossible. In the final analysis, Haki is just the development of the deep potential of human body and soul. It is an energy that can only be used to cover or entangle. Rayleigh has lived for so many years and has met 50 or 60 Conqueror's Haki. But there are definitely more than 10 or 20. But Conqueror's Haki can only explode. The most powerful ones can only deal substantial entanglement damage. How could it suddenly become like a living creature, flexible and changeable? And it can also eat other people's Conqueror's Haki. Have you ever felt the feeling of your soul being torn apart? Rayleigh-san, it hurts a bit, please bear with it. Drink. Pong. Levi's Reiatsu suddenly became more and more violent and terrifying, and the rushing water condensed into an unprecedentedly large mouth. Ooh, he bit and swallowed Rayleigh's Conqueror's Haki in one gulp. Rayleigh never thought about this, so it was impossible to prevent it. In his opinion, even if he loses the competition, at most it will only be that the Conqueror's Haki is shaken away. It is completely unexpected that someone might directly trace the origins from the outbreak of Conqueror's Haki. Hit his brain directly, as Levi's words fell. Rayleigh's brain felt like a heavy blow, as if a sharp knife had pierced his brain and soul. At this moment, Rayleigh finally realized something. You are not Conqueror's Haki at all. I never said that I was. My power is far superior to Haki, so I said, you shouldn't fight Conqueror's Haki with me. Conqueror's Haki is the place of spiritual will. It is hidden in the body and will not explode. When you come out, you are equivalent to having an extra layer of shield on your soul, but once it explodes, your fragile soul is completely exposed in front of me and can be seen at a glance. Levi's soul perception sees all this clearly. Unless there is a strong person who can consciously reserve some power to defend himself after Conqueror's Haki breaks out. But under normal circumstances, people in this world don't have this habit. In all Conqueror's encounters, there is no full release. They all want to crush their opponents as much as possible. Rayleigh was knocked off guard by Levi, and her head felt like a heavy blow, and she was momentarily confused. Before Rayleigh could react, Levi's waves of Reiatsu were crushing him one after another. Like a galloping army, it pierced Rayleigh's Conqueror's Haki. Rayleigh was instantly killed and was completely defeated. In the end, it was like a thunderbolt that directly hit Rayleigh's heart. PFF'd. Rayleigh was knocked straight into the ground. Rayleigh noticed that the power directly impacted her spirit. Immediately prepare armament Haki and Conqueror's Haki to resist together. But Levi, who was well prepared, couldn't let Rayleigh defend so smoothly. Soul deterrence. Boom. A thick beam of Reiatsu light was crushed at a fixed point. Rayleigh was instantly suppressed and unable to move. Before his defense could be formed, he was crushed by Levi. Such a terrible sense of pressure and oppression, even my actions are affected. It seems that the rumors are true. This little monster may really stun the strong men in the entire Marine headquarters. How is that possible? That's Pluton Rayleigh. Uncle Rayleigh. The straw hat, which was taken off by Gion at this moment, also looked at Rayleigh with great worry. They saw two people competing against Conqueror's Haki, and after a brief stalemate. There was a legend in the past, Pluton Rayleigh was knocked out while spitting blood. Then he was directly hit by a thick beam of light in the sky. The whole person crashed to the ground, making a huge crater in the ground. Rayleigh seems defeated, and it was defeated so cleanly. Now in the pillar of light, Rayleigh struggled to get up holding the famous sword. Although he looked slightly embarrassed, his eyes were still sharp. There was a look of horror on his face. But there is also a kind of calmness and joy. In my lifetime, I can still meet such a strong person. That's great. It's really exciting, old man, Rayleigh said to his sword, standing up slowly against Levi's Reiatsu. It's so heavy that Rayleigh feels incredible. Even when facing the captain, rocks seem to be oppressive based on his momentum. I can't even let myself feel this way. I feel like my soul is trembling instinctively. What kind of power does this young little monster have? The sea is not calm anymore. But at this moment, Rayleigh heard Luffy's voice, and observation Haki instantly sensed what was going on. Even with the obstruction and interference of bears, Gion still successfully took down Straw Hat and Zoro. Under the kind of pressure just now, even if these two people have great abilities, they are still affected and unable to move. And Gion has experienced Levi's Reiatsu suppression several times. He has already adapted to it, and he is stronger than the two of them. Able to move reluctantly. No surprises this time. When Rayleigh saw this, she was slightly silent for a moment. Straw Hat was caught. His fight seems pointless. But should I take a gamble? Rayleigh looked at Luffy, at the Straw Hat, and the temperament and courage he had not long ago. And now, although he is unwilling to accept his arrest, he can accept his fate calmly. He has made a decision. Then, let's take a gamble, don't wait any more. Roger, waiting is really a tortuous thing. I lost. Rayleigh suddenly let go of the weapon in his hand. In the horrified eyes of everyone, he raised his hands. Levi was also stunned for a moment. Marine headquarters, Sengoku was slightly uneasy as he drank tea with Kizaru. Sengoku-san, you seem a little irritable. Don't worry. Although the new pirates have some abilities, with Brother Levi's strength, you shouldn't worry about any surprises. Kizaru looked at Sengoku with some confusion. Although they are both rising star pirates worth over 100 million, they may have great potential in the future. But now they have no way to compete with Marine Headquarters Admiral. And hasn't Sengoku seen Levi's strength before? Is it necessary to be so worried? I'm not worried about his strength, but I suddenly remembered that this is his first mission, so I'm afraid he can't grasp the scale well. After all, young people sometimes have tempers, and you know. In case of encountering the celestial dragons, some values, premature contact may not necessarily be a good thing. Sengoku felt uneasy. Seeing Sengoku's appearance, Kizaru couldn't help but asked curiously, Sengoku-san, could he really be your illegitimate son? Have you been secretly training him all this time? Were you playing us last time? If not, Sengoku's reaction seems, well, nothing too wrong. Levi's strength is there, but they are young people after all, and there are certain practices and that kind of character in celestial dragons. Even an old man like me, no, old people are not easy to deal with. If you really do encounter one, be sure nothing happens. Young people have hot tempers and are ready to explode. That was a loss for the entire Marine headquarters. But it shouldn't be that easy to meet. Sengoku-san, What you said made me a little nervous, Kizaru said truthfully, then took 3 sips of tea to calm down his shock. I hope he has sense. He should have it. Hey, it's all because I don't know much about him. I've only visited him 10 times in the past few days since first came to Marine headquarters. Hey, Sengoku sighed, life is not easy. 10 times, Sengoku-san, when I was in the recruiting training camp, it seemed like you only came once a year. Kizaru was a little envious. People are really incomparable. Sengoku looked embarrassed. Could this be the same? When you first entered the recruiting camp, you were already called a little monster. And Levi was an ordinary person before. This is the only seedling left in his brother's family. In addition, Sengoku has never been married and had children. It's inevitable that I feel a bit close to Levi. Pong. Suddenly, the office door was pushed open suddenly. Marshal Sengoku, something big happened. The adjutant ran over from the intelligence room quickly without even taking a breath. Now he stopped suddenly and naturally spoke out of breath. Seeing the adjutant's anxious look and words, Sengoku's heart suddenly skipped a beat and he became more and more uneasy. Even Kizaru frowned slightly. Something big happened. Sabayati Archipelago, the biggest thing is probably celestial dragons. No way. Did the celestial dragons be beaten by the Marine Admiral? Sengoku blurted out and asked subconsciously. Huh. The adjutant was stunned for a moment. Marshal Sengoku was talking about what he was talking about. Marine Admiral fights celestial dragons. What is this operation? How could something so outrageous happen? That's not it. Oh, that's good. Cough, that's good. Sengoku also realized that he was a little out of control. Logically speaking, I should be more calm. But he had never taken care of such a young Marine Admiral. At first, I wanted to give Levi some credit. From their perspective, this should be fine. But afterward, Sengoku realized that Levi was stronger than ever. But he has never struggled in the workplace. There's definitely a youthful impulsiveness and sense of justice, but there's a good chance that something could go wrong with those things when faced with the celestial dragons. Especially if you are young and strong, you must have arrogance in your heart. I just hope Gion can play a small role. But seeing the adjutant's reaction, Marshal Sengoku suddenly understood. Celestial dragons is fine, that's good. The rest shouldn't be a big deal. What's going on? You're in such a hurry. Next time, please pay more attention to the occasion. Marshal Sengoku found a seat and sat down, intending to drink a cup of tea and reprimand the adjutant. After all, Kizaru is here, flustered and unseemly. Celestial dragons is fine, what else can be a big deal? Even if Garp's grandson Straw Hat was captured, there wouldn't be such a fuss. Marshal Sengoku, Pluton Rayleigh was defeated by the Black Crow Admiral and has now been arrested. PFF'd. The tea that Sengoku had just taken into his mouth suddenly spurted out. The teacup in Kizaru's hand was raised, but he suddenly stopped moving. What did you say? Sengoku stood up suddenly, his eyes widened, and he looked at his adjutant in disbelief. The vice captain of the Roger Pirates, Silver Rayleigh, was arrested by Black Crow Admiral Levi in Sabayati Archipelago. The adjutant reported seriously and in more detail. Are you telling the truth? Yes. Sengoku and Kizaru immediately lost their composure. Pluton Rayleigh, caught. What the hell is this? Didn't I ask you to catch the Nova Pirates? How to capture One Piece's deputy, Pluton Rayleigh. And the most outrageous thing is, it succeeded. I didn't expect we'd end up here. Although Luffy was aggrieved, his hands were handcuffed with seastone. At the same time, I didn't mess around with this fate. He had already thought about it on the day he went to sea. But he has no regrets because this is the life he pursues. For this reason, let alone being arrested, even if it meant death, I would have no regrets. Zoro, I'm sorry. Luffy was still smiling stupidly. But this kind of optimism facing life and death calmly. Even the average Marine can't help but feel shaken and moved. As expected of the grandson of Vice Admiral Garp, he is very courageous and aware. But it's a pity that in the face of absolute power, now they have no choice but to become prisoners. But luckily for Luffy, they have no interest in people whose bounty is less than 100 million yuan. Nami and Sanji escaped. Even when Tyrant Bear sensed something was wrong, he actually moved away instantly. But even stranger is to step away for a minute or two. The Tyrant Bear is back. Then Zontaomaru mercilessly put the seastone handcuffs on him. Levi guessed that Tyrant Bear probably took advantage of the little time he left. Send away all the other members of the Straw Hat Pirates. But Levi didn't care about these. Just 2 heads are enough. Our skills are just inferior to those of others. One day we will become stronger. Clicked. Zoro remained calm. But as soon as he finished speaking, he was handcuffed by Gion. One day, do you still want a future? Just stay and Impel Down for the rest of your life. Gion said coldly. She had no idea what they were like. It is enough to know that they are pirates and criminals. These words left Luffy and Zoro speechless. Maybe, I really have to stay and Impel Down for the rest of my life. I will definitely come out, Luffy said angrily. It would be better if he was executed. How boring it would be to be locked up in Impel Down. Although Luffy doesn't know where Impel Down is yet, he thinks it must be a prison. If it was a prison, he would escape sooner or later. Haha, Straw Hat Boy, just give up. Impel Down is the largest and most heavily defended underwater prison in the world. No one can escape from there, a Marine said with a smile. This time they have done a great job. Even the main credit belongs to Levi. However, all 11 supernovas were successfully captured, including Pluto and Rayleigh. Even if you just participate, you don't have to put in much effort. Just a little credit is enough for many people to be directly promoted from soldiers to school-level officers. This contribution is really great. Even if they can think of this, it will surely shock the whole world. One Piece's deputy, Pluto and Rayleigh, who has been on the run for decades, is captured. This is definitely the biggest news right now. Okay, don't set up flags randomly. Yes, Black Crow Admiral. Although I don't know what it is. But now Black Crow Admiral says whatever he says. I didn't expect that just the alternate admiral could be so powerful. And that man, even defeated Pluto and Rayleigh. Zoro was unwilling to give up. But when I look at Levi, I can't help but feel admiration. They are obviously about the same size as them, but the difference in strength is so huge. Rayleigh's fierce and domineering and majestic swordsmanship. It made Zoro feel inferior, so different. But he is such a legendary person. He actually lost. Did I really put handcuffs on him? These are the strongest handcuffs on our warship. Gion held a pair of handcuffs and looked at Rayleigh, who was suppressed in the beam of light. It still felt a bit unrealistic. Even as an alternate admiral. My mood at this moment is just like drinking, a bit dreamy. Die, what are you afraid of what he will do? Levi looked at Gion speechlessly. A person who is usually so shrewd has become so cautious at this moment. Could it be that she thought this was a dream? Come on, this thing is really hard to resist. It's hard to move even an inch. If I don't hurry up, if I remove Haki's defense, it may become a puddle of blood. This is not what you want to see, Rayleigh said with a smile. He didn't seem to regard himself as a prisoner. HMPH, Silver Rayleigh, you're under arrest. Gion was immediately dissatisfied when the pirate said this, and then his expression and mentality returned to normal. He decisively put the strongest handcuffs on Rayleigh that could also disable people. Even if you are not a person with abilities, you will still be affected by this special handcuffs. Although I don't know why you didn't fight to the death in the end, even if you did, it wouldn't change the outcome. You can't knock me down with one blow. With your old age and old injuries, you still run away. No, Levi said calmly and confidently. It's true. Rayleigh also agreed with this point, and he left a little strength behind. It's just for future consideration, waiting for a suitable opportunity. I just don't understand your purpose, but it still makes me quite concerned. Levi held his chin. Rayleigh's actions could not change the outcome of this battle. This much is certain. But Rayleigh owns Conqueror's Haki, so logically speaking, even though he knows he has no chance of victory, it's only right that we will fight back to the end. At least, in Levi's opinion. Rayleigh should have one last chance to strike with all his might. Oh, I see, is it for the Straw Hat Boy? It seems that you have a very deep plan. After Levi thought back and forth, his eyes suddenly fell on Luffy. It's just one factor. As soon as Levi said this, Rayleigh's eyes suddenly froze. This little guy actually has such a keen insight. What's going on? Is it going to be bad? This guy is not only powerful, but also has such a delicate mind. He is really a monster. If Rayleigh still had the last bit of gambling mentality before. And a glimmer of hope. When Levi said this, Rayleigh was completely confused. But he has always had a strong psychological quality. On the surface, he still didn't seem to have any major fluctuations in his expression. But under Levi's Reiatsu perception, Rayleigh hides her feelings well. But it was clear at a glance. It seems that I guessed it right, but what does this have to do with me? Now you are my credit, that's enough. What plans you have, that's your business. Levi didn't care what Rayleigh was thinking. Catching them myself is just because there is merit to be gained. No matter what idea Rayleigh has, it should be related to the straw hat. It has nothing to do with myself. Moreover, even if the strong man does not want to say something, even if he is tortured to extract a confession, it will be of no use. So there is no need to worry about it. This guy. Rayleigh suddenly couldn't understand Levi. Blue brew brew. Soon Marshal Sengoku called. Boy, you really caught that guy Rayleigh. I have heard of this guy appearing in Sabayati Archipelago before, but he has been hiding for so long, why did he suddenly come out? Can you beat him? Past him? How is he now? Are you injured? As soon as Levi answered the phone, Marshal Sengoku completely lost his usual composure. The questions came one after another, and Levi's ears were buzzing from the noise. Calm down and talk to me again. Gaga. Levi hung up the phone directly. Marshal Sengoku was stunned and couldn't react for a while. This was the first time he called his subordinates and was hung up on. Gion, Zan Momomaru, and Rayleigh were also stunned. This Marine Admiral seems a little different. Marshal Sengoku hung up the phone at every turn, and his tone was more like a friend. Not like a superior or subordinate. Brother Levi, you are really a role model for our generation. Kizaru looked at the confused Marshal Sengoku and couldn't help but joked. He also wanted to be so cool and casual that he could hang up Marshal Sengoku's phone bug. The adjutant turned his head to the side as if he didn't see it. Ahem. Marshal Sengoku coughed slightly in embarrassment, and then took 3 seconds to adjust himself back to the serious marshal. Then he dialed the phone bug again. He, calmly, confirmed the information to Levi. Not only Rayleigh was caught, but also all the 11 Supernovas were caught. That, including Straw Hat Luffy, the main culprit. Oh, okay, I understand. I will notify you later when the Impel is down. Please escort him personally. Don't let the old guy escape. I will go see him when the Impel comes down. After Marshal Sengoku hung up the phone, he had mixed feelings for a moment. Poroshalino, do you think we are old? Maybe. What? Is Sengoku-san retiring? Why, are you interested in my position? No. Kizaru shook his head lightly, wondering how difficult this position is. Kizaru, who has been following Sengoku, knows better than anyone else. However, if the Straw Hat Kid is really caught, Garp may not be able to deal with it easily. What if the Celestial Dragons insist on executing the Straw Hat Kid? Kizaru felt a little dizzy. Let's see how Garp handles it. Those above will not touch Garp easily. No one has died in this matter. It is not completely irreversible. Sengoku also felt that it was difficult to handle. But if he is not caught, there is a possibility that Celestial Dragons will come to the Marine headquarters every day and run wild in the future. Until then, no one can guarantee anything. How should we deal with this matter, Rayleigh? Also, Blackbeard said he had something to do with us before. Sakazuki has not come back yet, and even the phone bug has not gotten through. The probability of encountering an accident in the first half is extremely low. In other words, with Blackbeard, is there a major gain in the transaction? Do you need to keep it secret for a while? Kizaru pondered. Look at the opinions of the people above, but it is estimated that public execution is unlikely. They should be temporarily imprisoned in Impel Down, and someone from CP0 will be responsible for gathering information later. What did Roger get in Raftel? What did he do above? People aren't sure. Don't worry about Sakazuki. This brat Levi has done a great job this time. Haha, he is indeed my brother's son, but he is a bit too powerful. But now there should be no doubts in the entire Marine headquarters. Our Marine headquarters, the reputation has once again spread across the entire sea. After Sengoku thought about it, he burst into laughter. There's still a lot to deal with though. But I am also sincerely happy for Yamato's contribution to Levi's strength. It can also relieve his stress. In order for Levi to become admiral, the 5 elders and many people below raised doubts. It has always been him, the advocate, who has resisted. But now it seems we can breathe a sigh of relief. Holy place, Mariajoy. 5 elders convened an emergency meeting. The 4th admiral elected by Marshal Sengoku arrested Pluton Rayleigh. Are you sure? The 5 elders sitting in the middle looked surprised. It's absolutely true. I just received the information from Sengoku. I have confirmed it repeatedly and it is correct. Now I am escorting Rayleigh to Impel Down. Once I reach Impel Down, it will be almost impossible to escape. In addition, all the pirates who insulted the celestial dragons were successfully captured, including the main culprits Straw Hat, Kid, and Luo. The 4th admiral is so outstanding and powerful, beyond our expectations. Sengoku really found a treasure this time. It would be better if we could join CP0. Could it be a scam? That guy Rayleigh has been hiding so well over the years, why would he take action rashly? I heard it was to save some new pirates, but I got myself involved. Oh, who does he want to save? The voice seemed to be doubting something. Monkey D. Luffy. It's him again, a member of Garp's bloodline. Why do so many things have to do with him recently? Alabasta, Enies Lobby, Gecko Moria, Celestial Dragons, could he be the one? Not necessarily. Over the years, there have been too many specious people. There is no need to be so presumptuous. Besides, the person has already been caught, so it is unlikely. What to do with Garp's grandson? Killing is definitely not allowed. Garp's combat power is very important to us. Lord I Am also attaches great importance to Garp, but we cannot not punish him at all. The criminal law that should be punished must still be punished. Take a breath, and then let's wait until Garp bows to us. Yes, Straw Hat Boy is a good card to make Garp bow to us. As for Rayleigh, ask the CP0 people to wait at Impel Down immediately. We must try to pry something out of Rayleigh's mouth as soon as possible. Clear, but the most important thing right now is to meet this 4th admiral. I didn't expect that he is so powerful at such a young age, and the family background investigation is also very clean. Let's see if we can let him concentrate on serving the World Government Organization. If he is willing, one part of CP0's rights can be released to him. Then hold a celebration banquet in the Holy Land. Invite him. The red-haired guy shouldn't act rashly. After all, he is a former partner. Hopefully not. The 5 elders all attach great importance to Levi, the new admiral. At least more seriously than before. I really want to have more contact with him. A strong man who can capture Pluton Rayleigh. Definitely deserves their high standard of treatment. And also do it for others to see. More than just verbal praise. They also give substantial rewards. The meeting was not long, although for the world at large. This is a big deal, but for the 5 elders, just some waves. But just when they were about to leave, a 5 elders phone rang. Oh, it's Sakazuki. Is it about Pluton Rayleigh? Sakazuki has performed very well in his missions over the years. Let's hear what he has to say. 3 minutes later. Haha, I didn't expect a double happiness today. The Marine headquarters is getting more and more capable. Not only did we capture Rayleigh today, Whitebeard, the old immortal, also has to say goodbye to this world. Only when Whitebeard leaves can we march into the new world and get a share of the pie. At the same time, it can also deter the increasingly rampant era of great pirates. What's worth being so happy about? Fire Fist Ace, the captain of Whitebeard's 2nd Division, is in the hands of Blackbeard, but he has made a request to become the 7 warlords of the sea. Sakazuki asked for our opinion. It's worth it to exchange the position of 7 warlords of the sea for the ace card of Fire Fist Ace. Let Sengoku and Marshal Kong return to the Holy Land for a meeting immediately. Whitebeard, you have been in the New World for so long, and finally let us catch one opportunity. Clear. News of Pluton Rayleigh's arrest spread like wildfire. This thing is huge, and the Sabayati archipelago has many witnesses. No one can completely hide it. The entire Sabayati archipelago instantly burst into cheers. To them, pirates are always trouble. Especially recently, it has become more chaotic and caused them a lot of trouble. Although they usually do pirate business. But they don't like chaos. At the same time, the reputation of the 4th Admiral, Black Crow, has also been engraved in this legendary place. Everyone will remember it in the future. Black Crow Admiral captured One Piece's deputy Pluton Rayleigh here. Originally, Shilulia Palace heard that the Straw Hat Boy was arrested, and the caller wanted to ask Levi for someone. But Levi ignored him and drove his warship directly to Impel Down. Anyway, the credit lies there, and the world government cannot cause trouble for itself because of such a trivial matter. Many celestial dragons are stupid. Levi was afraid that if he had too much contact, he would become stupid. Pluton Rayleigh arrested. All 11 supernovae were captured, no one was spared. The youngest, scariest and most powerful Marine 4th Admiral in history, Black Crow, became a blockbuster. The Black Crow Admiral looks like a supernova, like a god coming to the world. The first of the 4 admirals, the story that Levi Admiral and Guion Vice Admiral have to tell. In just half a day, all kinds of overwhelming news flooded the world. All major forces received the news immediately. That guy Rayleigh fell into the hands of Marine. This. Whitebeard held the information in his hand and looked in disbelief. Although Marine had news about the 4th Admiral before, he also made people pay attention and thought that this was not an ordinary person. Unexpectedly, in just a few days, such a big thing could be accomplished. This is too exaggerated. That guy Rayleigh is very strong. Although he hasn't made a move in many years, even if he meets Marine Admiral, if he wants to leave, no one should be able to stop him. Why was he caught? This is impossible. Marco scratched his pineapple head. Puzzled. Is there anyone in the world whose strength is far superior to Rayleigh? The fighting situation is ever-changing. Maybe I was restrained by something and couldn't escape. This is possible, and Rayleigh is not too young. He is older than Dad, and the 4th Admiral is too young to be strong. That's right, maybe Rayleigh is too old to carry the knife, and he just happens to be met by Marine Admiral. It's not impossible. Don't underestimate that old man. Even if he is old, he will still be scary. That's Pluton. Some captains have deep memories. After all, the Whitebeard pirates and Roger pirates have collided many times before. Someone who only joined the Whitebeard pirates in the past 20 years. Many people don't know how terrifying the Roger pirates are. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said such a thing. Dad, what should we do next? The Marine headquarters seems to be very aggressive now. Diamond Josie asked in a deep voice. Is Ace still unreachable? I have a bad feeling. We haven't contacted him yet. We may have entered some islands with a relatively disordered climate. Don't worry, Dad, Ace is still very strong. Marco comforted him. Everyone is on alert and the island is ready for war. Although Marine will not attack us under normal circumstances, if either side becomes stronger, the situation will change. After thinking about it, Whitebeard issued the martial law order. In the entire world, among all the 4 emperors, Whitebeard has the largest territory. Some things have to be guarded against. Also Marco, take a few people and beat up some of Kaido's subordinates. Ah, why? A newcomer asked in confusion. Of course it's because I'm in a bad mood, la 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 la. Whitebeard explained with a smile. 4th Admiral, it's really interesting. I actually found out that guy Rayleigh. It seems that his strength is quite amazing. It seems that the weapon cooperation mentioned by CP0 needs more consideration. The 4th Admiral, who is it? Yamato heard Kaido's loud voice from the prison not far away. One Piece's deputy was captured by the Marine Admiral. It's really big news. The Joker seems to have some connections in the world government. He should be allowed to collect more intelligence. The sudden appearance of such a powerful admiral is not a good thing for us. Jin, who was wrapped tightly in the body, said indifferently while looking at the information. It doesn't matter. We are in Wano-kuni. Even if Marine wants to attack us, the large fleet will have to get there. Quinn said disapprovingly. The 4th Admiral, I really want to give it a try and see who is stronger. Jack the Drow said angrily. He has full confidence in his ancient species. Sure enough, he is not a mediocre person. That old fox Sengoku will never do business at a loss. It's a pity that he is already a Marine. Otherwise, becoming my son-in-law would be a good choice. He can strengthen the nations, or become my new husband. The bloodline born in that way will definitely very strong. Auntie was looking forward to it. The ministers nearby were trembling and did not dare to speak. Although my mother is a 4 emperors, she is definitely very strong. But you can't just think that the fourth admiral is young and strong and just want him to be your husband. What a waste of natural resources. If we want to do it, we, the younger daughters, have to do it. After all, success rate is a very important thing. But thinking about it, they didn't dare to say it. Black Crow Admiral. As long as I have money, there is nothing I can't control, even the celestial dragons. In the entertainment empire, the Golden Emperor sat on the main seat, looked at the golden fountain, and snorted coldly. Tisk, 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 this is also a high-quality customer. Let's see if we need a loan. We can give you the biggest discounts. Loan sharking. Wong smoked a cigar and read the newspaper with a smile. Sir Feld, Admiral may not be good either. Kuzan lent us 500 million belly last time and he hasn't paid back a penny yet. You know shit, 500 million is just 500 million. That's nothing. This is the Admiral who won Rayleigh. With this reputation, he is advertising for us. The new Admiral is really young and handsome. It's just that I haven't heard of such a person before. There is still an oversight in the intelligence work. Stussy looked at Levi, who was wearing a cloak of justice, and thought deeply. She is a high-ranking official of CP0 and an undercover agent of world government in New World. She is the queen in charge of Happy Street. At this moment, the giants of the entire underground world were also restless. Did he take down Pluton? Akainu was stunned when he saw the news report. A great achievement has been made in just a few days. Aokiji sighed. HMPH, the Marine Admiral actually arrested the heroes who resisted the Celestial Dragons and Uncle Rayleigh. Hancock was furious at Amazon Lily's incompetence. Rayleigh is her benefactor, although she doesn't know the other one. But anyone who dares to stand up to the Celestial Dragons is a friend. Rayleigh, lost, interesting, I wonder if he is a master of swordsmanship. Hawkeye asked for defeat alone. But in reality, it was the four emperors, the red-haired Shanks, who were most affected. When he got the news, he made a decision that could affect the world, to rescue Pluton Rayleigh. Even if it means a head-on conflict with Marine. Captain, take us with you. Some newcomers said eagerly. This is not a battle for newcomers. The red-haired ship is parked in the port and can sail at any time. Rayleigh-san, wait for me. Did the captain ever say that you and I can't make any mistakes in every aspect, and that guy Luffy is also very unlucky? The red-haired man held his weapon with one hand. Looking at the distant sea, I thought of many things. But before that, there are two things to do, meet Whitebeard and fight Kaido. Let me lead the way, save some time. Beckman smoked a cigarette, exhaled smoke, and then took out his weapon. One shot was fired, directly breaking the atmosphere in front of him, revealing a space passage leading to an unknown place. Chapter 31. Typing Kaido with red hair is not blind typing. Because Wano-Kuni is Oden's hometown. The red-haired Whitebeard has never had a good impression of Kaido, who is entrenched in Oden's hometown. Even though Whitebeard and Kaido were once partners. But during the War of the Valley of the Gods, Whitebeard made a choice and abandoned the Rocks Pirate. After making way for the Roger Pirates, they were no longer on the same page. However, Wano-Kuni news has always been isolated from the world. The entrance is now even more controlled by Kaido. They tried many times to enter Wano-Kuni but failed. They will not attack Kaido's territory with all their strength before preparing for a full-scale war. If it fails, the cost will be too high. Of course, there's another reason why they don't care much about Wano-Kuni. As early as more than 10 years ago, I heard rumors from some people in Wano-Kuni. Said Oden was executed for offending Wano-Kuni's new general. Everyone has his own life. Oden's life and death belong to him. In the world of pirates, there is no such thing as revenge. After all, it is their country's business. They don't know the real truth about many things. If he knew that Oden was framed and boiled alive, I'm afraid both Redhead and Whitebeard will be furious. He will definitely settle the score with Kaido at all costs. Kaido may also know this, so a lot of information is well controlled and cannot be obtained by outsiders. But I don't know. It doesn't affect Whitebeard and the red-haired one. They have time to find Kaido for a discussion. There is even a saying among the New World giants. Kaido was beaten into the strongest creature. Because if you can't resist, you will die. Therefore, every time Whitebeard and Redhair do something, Kaido will also seize the opportunity to attack and interfere with them. don't even know what they want to do. Now the redhead is on the move and wants to avoid being disturbed. The most correct thing is to strike first. Wano Kuni put up a big battle formation and made Kaido think that he was going to attack him in full force. Let him huddle up and defend, then turn around and head to the first half of the Grand Line. And Beckman's abilities are kept secret. Generally it is only used at critical moments. He is also the only person with abilities on the ship. And I only took devil fruit in recent years. Because the power of this fruit is so tempting and convenient. Sometimes Marine and World Government, often mispredicting the time of their appearance. It's because of the existence of Beckman, a person with this ability. For example, during the Summit War, the Red Hair Pirates were supposed to be entangled by the Beast's pirates. Marineford appeared with Sengoku and others looking horrified and confused. You know, they were fighting Kaido the day before. But it was Marineford the next day. It's too fast. You must know that if the pirates want to go from the second half to the first half, they need to pass the Fishmen Island. Usually this process is not fast. Master Kaido, the red hair went crazy. He took away 2 of our islands. He even shouted for you to come out and die. He called you a worm. What? That red-haired brat has become more and more domineering and rampant in the past few years. Don't think that just because you killed the last 4 emperors, you think you are invincible. Kaido roared angrily, transformed into a dragon hundreds of meters long, and carried a wolf fang stick, with a group of cadres, flew towards the island where Hongfa was. He really didn't dare to take the risk by himself. The overall strength of red hair pirates is extremely terrifying. Especially Beckman, whose strength is not weaker than that of the redhead. If you go there alone, I'm afraid it may not come back intact. Dad, the redhead and Kaido are fighting again. Has Kaido come out? Out, just in time. I'll teach him a profound lesson this time. Dad, your body. Don't worry, I'm not too old to walk yet. Dad, something big happened. This is the latest news. The Ice Witch suddenly turned extremely pale. In his hand was the newspaper just dropped by the news bird. What's wrong, Sister Whitebeard? What scared you so much? Rayleigh was arrested before, but it seems you weren't scared either. Look, Ace, he was caught by Marine. He will be publicly executed in 2 weeks. The Ice Witch said with a trembling voice. What? How is that possible? The entire Whitebeard Pirates group instantly exploded. It's impossible. Ace is so powerful. Even if he encounters Admiral, he can escape even if he wants to. How could he be caught? A captain did not want to believe it. Whitebeard also stood up suddenly, and Marco Bistacos and other captains also changed their expressions. They want more all at once. If this is true, it is now announced so early that Ace is in their hands. That means that the world government's obsession is not with the wine, but with the entire Whitebeard Pirates. It's unmistakable. There are photos of Ace's arrest here. It says that Blackbeard knocked Ace down and handed him over to the Marine headquarters. Blackbeard, the traitor, the Ice Witch said bitterly, drawing out her sword, and her cold aura spread. You can't take this kind of leave. A little investigation will reveal the situation. The Marine headquarters is forcing us to take action. Is it because we have more confidence with the 4th Admiral? Whitebeard said with a gloomy face. Marco, hurry up and go to the central island to confirm the authenticity of the information. Josie, Bista, let's put Kaido's affairs aside for now. In my name, summon all the pirate groups under my command. Quote. After saying this, Whitebeard actually knew in his heart that the news might not be false. Let Marco confirm, just to be on the safe side. No one can touch my family. If Marine headquarters wants to fight, then fight. Whitebeard's heroic spirit and anger spurted out, and a wave of Conqueror's Haki burst out, and the sea suddenly rolled with anger. World, the wind is rising. Following the news of Pluton Rayleigh's arrest, another big news came out. And it is no less impactful than Rayleigh's arrest. Although Fire Fist Ace cannot be compared with a legendary powerhouse like Pluton Rayleigh. But everyone in this world knows it. He is the captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates. And Whitebeard's style and character are known to many strong men. He considered all of his crew members to be family. Marine headquarters has now publicly announced that Fire Fist Ace will be executed. And it was given enough time. It is obviously a provocation and challenge to Whitebeard. This also touched Whitebeard's bottom line. A battle cannot be avoided. Whitebeard is no lighter than Rayleigh, or even heavier. Because Whitebeard is more than just one person, he has a huge pirate force in the New World. Its power is so strong that even if the armed forces of multiple countries are combined together, even in front of the Whitebeard pirates, he will be eclipsed. There are 43 pirate groups under his command, and their captains are basically all masters with bounties worth over 100 million. There are 16 captains, many of whom can contain the Marine Admiral. Whitebeard himself possesses the most destructive shock fruit ability in the world. Foo, it's getting more and more exciting. Marine Headquarters versus the Whitebeard Pirates. Do those old guys think the time has come? But it's indeed a good time. Marine's 4th Admiral was born, and it happened to have a dazzling record. At this time, Marine's morale was high, and it happened to have the ace card of Fire Fist Ace. Once the war started, the winning rate of Marine Headquarters would be very high. However, when faced with the monster Whitebeard, advantages in strength and morale sometimes cannot determine the outcome of the battle. It still depends on what price the Marine Headquarters needs or is willing to pay. Under normal circumstances, Marine's victory is inevitable, but when encountering Whitebeard, the normal situation will produce huge variables. Doflamingo said to himself excitedly. With his hands, he controls the two criminals around him to kill each other for his own amusement and punishment. The whole world is in a state of boiling, restlessness, panic and anxiety. When I think of the most terrifying pirate group in the world, the strongest in the world, there is a possibility of war with the Marine Headquarters. Not to mention civilians, even Marines, there were many people trembling. This war is destined to kill many people and even completely change the structure of the entire world. But if the higher-ups want to fight, they, the lower-level officers, have no choice but to go up. For justice. The 4 seas, the Grand Line, all the kingdoms, all the islands, many streets and alleys. Countless news birds carried the news to the world. The whole world is caught up in the heated discussion of these two incidents. From the world's giants, princes and nobles, to the traffickers and pawns. All discussing the public execution of Fire Fist Ace at Marine Headquarters. Will it lead to a war? The first half of the Grand Line. Marine Headquarters, Impel Down, in the large whirlpool composed of 3 areas of the original Enies lobby. Marine's exclusive sea current. The 3 warships rode the current at high speed. This special current is only allowed by Marine. Only then can it be used. Once used, if the door of justice is not opened, the ship will keep spinning in the special current and cannot escape. Such currents are equivalent to highways on the ocean. The 3 major world government agencies form an iron triangle that supports each other. Under normal circumstances, no one would want to attack Impel Down. Because attacking any place, the Marine Headquarters troops can arrive in the shortest time. Easy to be flanked from both front and rear. And the Impel Down is in the calm belt, and there are sea kings under the sea. There is no wind on the sea to drive the ships. It is a natural dangerous place. These 3 warships are naturally the 3 that Levi led to support the Sabayati archipelago. On one of them, in the shadow under the mast, there was a parasol. The sea breeze was blowing, Levi was lying on the chair and reading the news. His face was calm, even after seeing the news that Ace was about to be publicly executed. There wasn't much of a reaction, which was all expected. Although there is a slight deviation in time. He probably just wanted to take advantage of Rayleigh's momentum. Announce it early to keep morale high. Guion Vice Admiral, your coffee is very good, and your snacks are even more amazing. I can't tell you have such skills, but you suddenly treat me so well. Do you have any intention? Levi was leisurely sipping coffee and eating snacks. This high-speed ocean current has always been at a stable speed. So the ship doesn't bump. Did I treat you badly before? Guion rolled his eyes at Levi. It's not that good anyway. I was wondering, if you were free, could you surround me with a beam of light like Conqueror's Haki? Ah, are you so impatient? Did you see it too? Guion said a little embarrassed. Did he also see that Conqueror's Haki was beneficial to his cultivation? But Conqueror's Haki is not supposed to be used this way. This was a very rude request, so she was embarrassed. Well, I can see it, but it's not good during the day, let's do it at night. That's okay. Guion didn't expect Levi to agree. The door of justice is open. At this time, an officer was responsible for communicating with the Impel Down people. After verification, the towering door of justice slowly opened. But it is not fully opened, just enough for warships to cross. After passing the gate of justice, you will find the world's largest prison, Impel Down. This is also a great place to check in. Levi is already hungry for attribute points. If you get attribute points here again, add all Reiatsu, and then face Rayleigh. It will be much easier. Go and bring the prisoners up, they are where they want to go. Well, that's Sakazuki Admiral's ship, that's Fire Fist Ace. I see, Sakazuki Admiral escorted it personally. Gion suddenly saw a ship coming from another direction and not traveling in high-speed currents. Up there, Sakazuki and Blackbeard and others stood on the deck. Fire Fist Ace was brought up. Hey, Ace, have you been arrested too? After Luffy was brought up, he immediately saw Fire Fist Ace. Hearing this voice, Akainu, Ace and others looked over from a certain distance. Everyone's eyes suddenly condensed, full of surprise. Life is full of surprises. Until the last moment, you never know what the final result will be. For example, after Fire Fist Ace was arrested, he never thought about it. When he was about to enter Impel Down, the legendary underwater prison. You will see your sworn brother, Luffy. The two looked at each other, and the air was quiet for a while. Their thoughts at the moment were surprisingly consistent. How did Ace, Luffy, get caught? Ha 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 ha, this is really interesting. Straw Hat Boy, you were the one who was going to be unlucky, but Ace has become your scapegoat. But Blackbeard laughed unscrupulously as he looked at it. He had never imagined such a scene. It seems that the Straw Hat guy is not very lucky either. What's going on with you? Ace was defeated several days ago and has been detained by Blackbeard. As a bargaining chip with the world government, I don't understand what is happening in the outside world. At this moment, his hands were also cuffed with sea stones, and he looked a little embarrassed. The celestial dragons attacked my friend. I beat him up, and then called the Marine Admiral to arrest us. Luffy told the truth, and even touched the back of his head in embarrassment. This time he was defeated so miserably that Ace saw him. Celestial dragons. Admiral, it's still uneasy. Ace accepted it calmly and quickly. Rayleigh was then brought up. When everyone saw this, they all fell silent. Especially Blackbeard, who was talking endlessly. My throat felt like it was stuck directly by a ruthless iron hand. Although I learned about this from the newspaper, I really saw Pluton Rayleigh become a prisoner with my own eyes. The impact was huge. Even Sakazuki's expression froze slightly. A generation of pirate legend, Pluton Rayleigh, the deputy of the Pirate King, was really arrested like this. His hands and feet were in heavy shackles. But his face was still calm, and he didn't even look a little depressed. Just smile and look at everyone. He didn't seem to regard himself as a prisoner. The monster was actually captured. Blackbeard's heart froze, even though he had a detailed plan to become the king. But before the plan is successfully implemented, it must be full of countless changes. Rayleigh once left a deep impression on the entire Whitebeard pirates. That is someone who can fight Whitebeard head-on. The fourth Admiral of Marine Headquarters, Black Crow. Blackbeard's eyes fell on Levi. But Levi didn't see him at the moment, only Sakazuki Admiral. Because Akainu's body is boiling with magma at the moment. A pair of eyes stared at Levi, trying to find something out of Levi. If it weren't for Pluton Rayleigh, Akainu might have already tried it out. But he doesn't intend to give up now either. In terms of strength, if it is as stated in the report, then he does have the qualifications to serve as Marine Admiral. But in addition to strength, Marine Admiral also needs awareness and justice. Still have to try this. Either as the same kind of people, or in the future acting as different people. Only through testing can we know a little bit about each other. If you know what kind of person he is, you will know how to deal with him in the future. Levi also stared at Akainu, refusing to give in a step. The two breaths filled the air, causing everyone around to become quiet all of a sudden. It was like at this moment, the wind stopped and time stood still. A strange atmosphere makes people feel frightened. It was like watching a terrifying thunderstorm about to form under your gaze. Director Magellan, Hannibal and others, were waiting at the main entrance of Impel Down. A little surprised. What's going on? Why aren't you here? What are you doing here? Are you being attacked? Gion looked at the two of them and wanted to speak, but for a moment he didn't know what to say. Sakazuki Admiral's character is rather extreme and extreme. This is something that the entire Marine headquarters knows. But that doesn't mean he's wrong. In troubled times, Marine often needs to use heavy instruments. If not, how could Akainu gather a group of powerful Marines if he was in Marine? What do you think of me? Levi was the first to attack, looking at Akainu indifferently. I didn't have much feelings for Akainu or Levi before. In any force, there will be people who specialize in doing dirty work. That's okay, but what's going on with this little guy? Everyone is the Admiral of Marine Headquarters, but they are staring at me with such sharp eyes. Levi's good mood suddenly disappeared. Provocative. I want to know if you are qualified to become a qualified sailor. After saying this, everyone didn't quite understand. In their eyes, Levi is a Marine Admiral. Why ask such a strange thing? But Levi knew what Akainu was referring to. Many generals, as well as Blackbeard next to him, knew it. This is interesting. It seems that Akainu has some opinions on the new admiral who is suddenly on equal footing with them. Good thing. Blackbeard's eyes were bright and full of expectation. Two admirals, will they fight? Whether I am qualified or not is none of your business. The review is naturally handled by the people above. You and I are just equals, Sakazuki. Levi criticized mercilessly. Akainu frowned, but didn't finish his sentence. He was immediately blocked back by Levi's words, and at the same time he was directly knocked away by a torrent of Reiatsu. What are you? I'm just asking you, do you have an opinion on me, don't you? Levi's words became more and more harsh, and in the end he was completely scolding him. Okay, if you have any objections, Lousy will beat you until you have no objections. Levi was overbearing and unreasonable at this moment. Akainu's face turned dark. I haven't finished speaking yet. Is this kid so irritable? Boom. With that said, Levi took action decisively. Akainu's hands turned into lava to block the torrent of Reiatsu. Levi knows that it is useless to talk to people like Akainu, they are very realistic. Only strong strength can completely cut off the possibility of him causing trouble for himself. Give in. It is impossible to give in. Holy shit, we really did it. Why does this new student admiral feel crazier than Akainu? Blackbeard was confused, Guion was also confused, and Magellan, who was waiting in the distance, looked horrified. Why did Admiral get into a fight? One of our own. What is this? Conqueror's Haki. Levi Reiatsu released. Although it's towards Akainu, but Blackbeard and others, and even the strong men on the dozen or so warships in and around Impel Down. All felt, this is an extremely terrifying pressure. An oppressive feeling that made them feel like they were being crushed. Under the surrounding seabed, countless sea kings fled frantically, temporarily escaping from this terrifying coercion. At this moment, Blackbeard suddenly felt like facing Whitebeard's rage. And he was still a young man, Whitebeard in his prime. An indelible psychological shadow grew crazily. He looked at Levi with fear in his eyes, just like looking at the monster Whitebeard. How could there be such an exaggerated and oppressive Conqueror's Haki? And not just in terms of momentum and coercion. Blackbeard felt that Haki was actually hurt. He felt as if his Haki and spiritual will were being cut like a knife. It's very painful, not an illusion, but a real feeling. Conqueror's Haki, is this still used? Blackbeard wasn't sure, he hadn't seen it before. This was the first time that he didn't know that there was something called soul damage. But at this moment, Blackbeard already regarded Levi as an extremely terrifying monster. This time, as I escort Fire Fist Ace, I must find out the situation of Impel Down, and then make a plan. I must find some powerful helpers from this place, so that my next plan can be successful. Especially if Admiral is so powerful, it definitely won't work without a certain amount of strength. For now, I will temporarily serve as the 7 warlords of the sea and try not to cause any conflict with Marine. Blackbeard immediately made a decision in his heart. This is why he insists on escorting Fire Fist Ace. Otherwise, he wouldn't want to be in the same boat as Akainu. This Marine Admiral always seems to be eating them. What a terrifying monster. Champion Badgers also restrained his arrogance at this moment. He prides himself on being powerful, but he is up against Marine Admiral, who has such a brilliant record. No one dares to look down upon him, and the other members of the Blackbeard Pirates are also a little on tenterhooks. Their current behavior is no different than an aerial steel wire. 2 Marine admirals are enough to kill them now several times. At the same time, this release of Reiatsu also disturbed many Impel Down LV6 monsters. 9990, 9991, 9992, LV6, Eternal Hell, a strong figure, training hard with heavy shackles on his body. Hey, Bullet, is it necessary to exercise? We won't be able to get out for the rest of our lives. A sarcastic voice came from the cell next to him. Some of them have been here for decades and have long given up on their unrealistic ideas. Is it still necessary to exercise like crazy? Tired and useless. Even food and clothing are a problem for them. Exercises like Bullet that squeeze out life and potential. Nothing can be seen now. But in less than 10 or 20 years, he will be covered with hidden wounds, and I am afraid it will be difficult for him to even move. So they give up, even if some insist on exercising at first. But none last as long as Bullet. Some people just can't do it even if they want to exercise. Because their bodies are aging. For example, Red Earl, Waldo and others. They have been imprisoned for too long. Waldo was even directly frozen. As your strength lapses and your body becomes sluggish, forcing high-intensity exercise will only lead to rapid death. So no one exercised anymore. The only exception is Bullet, who is younger than most. He also firmly believes that he will get out one day. Faced with the ridicule of others, Bullet just looked away. The other party was silent and his body was restrained, but it did not affect the release of his Conqueror's Haki at all. The kid on Roger's ship, Conqueror's Haki, is getting stronger and stronger. Red Earl said lightly, his tone full of recognition. The successor of the evil ghost. He is powerful, but it is impossible to escape from here. The evil king shook his head, and then found a place to lie down. They have had enough of this dark life. But in my heart I knew it was impossible, but I also had the most impossible hope. Hope to get out one day. A bunch of old immortal guys, I never thought I would have to spend the rest of my life with these guys. Crocodile raised his dead fish-like eyes, feeling very dissatisfied with this. Especially when he noticed the news coming from the 6th floor, saying that Bullet was powerful again today. He was even more unhappy inside. When I was young, I never lost to Bullet. But the battle with Whitebeard was a complete defeat, leaving him no chance to get involved in the New World again. Because Whitebeard once told him that if he enters the New World again, he will be killed. He would never show mercy. When he thought of the old man, Crocodile was frightened and angry. If it were before, he might only have fear in his heart. But during the Alabasta battle, he saw the shadow of his former self in the Straw Hat Kid. Something inside him that he thought had disappeared long ago began to sprout again. Hey, Sand Crocodile, you are the new guy here recently. Tell us about the recent changes in the outside world. The voice of the big wine barrel came from not far away. Nothing to say. Crocodile didn't bother to pay them any attention. When will that Magellan guy let me out? At worst, I'll kill one person every 10 days this time. Shiryu of Rain sat in the cell, smoking a cigar and wiping his beloved knife. He is not a prisoner, he is just incarcerated. Don't be so stingy. Everyone can't get out. You have to have some fun in this place. Boom. Before he finished speaking, a terrifying wave of Reiatsu penetrated directly through the 5 floors of the prison above and suppressed him to the 6th floor. What is this? The faces of the madmen on the 6th floor changed dramatically. You want to do something to me? Akainu looked at Levi in disbelief. It's obviously you who is looking for trouble. Why do you think now that you are going to get into trouble? This guy does have some backbone. Levi's Reiatsu attack came because he was already prepared in his heart. Akainu's arms expanded into the shape of magma, with dark red armament Haki covering them. Akainu's face hardened, and it was indeed what Marshal Sengoku said. The Black Crow wields the terrifying Conqueror's Haki. And it has been trained to ultimate, with substantial damage. Sengoku told him this, hoping that Akainu would not cause trouble for Levi. We are all Marine admirals after all. But precisely because what Levi is good at is Conqueror's Haki. Akainu was worried that he would be a lawless, unjust, and uncontrollable Marine admiral. So beatings and warnings, he thought, were necessary. Since no one wants to be the bad guy, let him do it. Everything is for justice. He didn't want to see such a powerful person either. He was so unscrupulous that he even betrayed Marine to tell him what marine justice is. But Akainu didn't expect that Levi's temper didn't seem as casual as Sengoku said. Where is the mistake? Pong. What's even more frightening is that he already expected Levi to be powerful. But when this rush and pressure hit at the same time, although he blocked it in time, he was still knocked away a short distance. Sakazuki Admiral, Vice Admiral Doberman, Akainu's loyal subordinate, suddenly exclaimed. Sakazuki Admiral was well prepared. It even knocked him away, even though it was only a short distance away. But this new admiral is too powerful. This Conqueror's Haki storm has not yet subsided. Instead, it continued to be released like a blowout without money, washing away their will and body. Doberman Vice Admiral is located near Akainu and was hit hard. There was a loud bang, and he knocked heavily on the deck with one knee. If he hadn't been holding it with a sword, he might have been forced into the cabin by the pressure. HMPH. Akainu snorted, dissatisfied with such an arrogant young man. If you don't teach him a lesson, he may go astray in the future and become Marine's enemy. It's so lawless. Gulu. Akainu's whole body was filled with lava, smoke billowing from his body straight into the sky, and his entire right arm swelled instantly. It became extremely huge, and the surrounding temperature increased sharply. The sea surface was boiling. Unless Akainu intentionally controls it, the warship under your feet will be burned to ashes in an instant. A violent aura surged out of Akainu. Not Conqueror's Haki though. But such a terrifying aura of violence and murderous intent is like a stormy sea, constantly impacting people's minds. A person with a weak psychological quality may be frightened to death and fainted by taking one look at Akainu. I don't know how many people he killed before Akainu had such evil aura. Levi vaguely saw a lot of evil spirits entangled in Akainu, and there seemed to be some weird souls lingering around. Is it a wraith? Levi didn't quite understand, but Akainu's strength and Yamato's awesomeness cannot be ignored. The admiral is really going to start a fight. Many people around him still didn't understand. But the battle of admiral is rare in the world. But Marine was worried. No matter who gets hurt, it's not what they want to see. They don't know that sometimes fighting is also a kind of communication. Great eruption. Akainu's face was gloomy, his face covered with dark red magma, his eyes full of determination and killing. He is fierce and awe-inspiring, if one does not know his identity. Some people would believe him if he was said to be a very vicious pirate. A punch blasted out, heat waves rolled in, and the huge lava arm wanted to blast through everything. I'm going to die. Some of the Marines behind Levi looked at Akainu's attack, which was so powerful and destructive. Make them feel hopeless and suffocated. That's it. Levi felt that Akainu was looking down on him, a great eruption, and what he wanted to achieve. Levi took a step forward, and Reiatsu gathered in front of him from all sides. Like a sky barrier, with a roar, the giant fist of lava hit it, and exploded like a huge dark red firework. Beautiful and dangerous. Emission Haki. Just the Haki shield can disperse my attack. Akainu thought in surprise. Go. In Levi's second thought, the entire Reiatsu, which was larger than a warship, blasted directly towards Akainu. Just as Akainu was about to counterattack, 5 Reiatsu beams of light suddenly dropped from all around. 4 blocked the direction, and 1 directly suppressed Akainu. So heavy. Even Akainu, shrouded in Reiatsu's beam of light, groaned. But if you can resist it, even among the generals and emperors. He is also one of the top ones. He severely damaged Whitebeard and defeated Aokiji. Such a record is rare for a strong player at the same level. Because he is willing to fight hard. Dog bites the red lotus. Akainu reacted quickly. After the great eruption was crushed, his arm quickly contracted the magma, and the color became brighter and brighter. Like blood, the palm condensed into a dark red dog's head, revealing hot magma teeth, and the arms turned into magma pillars. Focus on a fixed point, and then blast at Levi. With a loud bang, the Reiatsu barrier shatters. But Levi remained motionless, looking at the incoming fist. Levi's eyes narrowed and he focused on his eyes. With this focus of sight as the center, Reiatsu pours out from Levi, continuously gathering in front of his eyebrows. A small ball of Reiatsu gradually condenses and takes shape. Rayleigh was shocked when he saw it. He felt a fatal danger. Then, a light blue Reiatsu with ball lightning shot out like the King of Hollows flash. Tisk, a ray of light passed by, and the atmosphere seemed to penetrate through it. What? Akainu also felt the terrifying power of this light. But it's too late. The two collide. Boom. As if a nuclear weapon exploded, billowing lava and Reiatsu abilities exploded in all directions, falling into the sea. Boil the whole sea. Akainu was knocked away again, with blood dripping from his arm. You can be proud, this is the first time I have compressed such a high-intensity attack. Levi's plain voice sounded like thunder in everyone's hearts. Levi's words sounded condescending and contemptuous to Sakazuki. Even Rayleigh and Blackbeard were silent. They all felt that Levi was too sharp and overbearing at the moment. Especially Rayleigh, although the previous Levi was just as powerful. But what Rayleigh felt from Levi was calmness and calmness. But why now when facing my own people? But he was so domineering, it would be an understatement to say he was contemptuous. But Rayleigh was surprised to find that Akainu didn't seem angry at all. Instead, he calmed down more and became less aggressive. Calmer, watching Levi carefully. This kind of calmness and seriousness was not there at the beginning. At first, there was anger and judgment deep in his eyes. But Levi took the lead with 2 consecutive attacks. Akainu's mood calmed down instead. In his opinion, if Levi is an irritable person, then he cannot be too tough. Otherwise, Admiral, who had no objection at first, would be forced to do so by himself. Even if he was a Marine Admiral, he couldn't bear this responsibility. Sakazuki is not a simple fool, even if he acts like a simple reckless man. But Levi knew that in the Summit War, it was Squado, the Vortex Spider, who instigated his rebellion. It was he who used his words to provoke Firefist Ace into leaving him on the battlefield. He is a rough but delicate person. Sakazuki was taken advantage of. Rayleigh saw that Sakazuki didn't fight back immediately. An idea suddenly emerged in his heart that made him feel incredible. Sakazuki couldn't be scared just because one of his arms was injured. The only possibility is that Levi's radicalness made him worry too much. Others looked at Akainu who had a flesh-gaining wound on his arm. My heart suddenly rose to my throat. Even a discerning person can see it at a glance. It was just a superficial wound. But that's Marine Admiral. 2 admirals collided and saw red. Will it turn into a fight? What a strong sense of oppression. Blackbeard looked at the 2 people who were facing each other tit for tat. Even with his psychological quality, he felt invisible pressure increasing at this moment. If a full-scale war breaks out, no one present will be able to stay away. The only place to stay is these warships. It is still some distance away from the Impel Down complex. Or suffer the aftermath attack. Either fall into the sea and may be attacked by Sea Kings. Once there is blood, the Sea Kings will also go crazy or swarm again. It seems like it's not enough. Levi took another step forward. A strong Reiatsu wind blew over the warship where Akainu was. The entire warship seemed to be pushed invisibly into the sea by a big hand. Of course it's not enough. Akainu raised his palm and buzzed. All the Haki and the magma were entangled and combined. The entire arm instantly became like magma crystals, with a trace of blood. Although Akainu was a little wary and worried that Levi was being pushed too far by him. But we can't give up easily. Otherwise, he thought he was invincible in Marine. That's even worse. Stop, please stop, both of you. But before the next round of collision begins. A small boat moved forward rapidly, with Magellan, Hannibal and others on it. The one who spoke was Warden Magellan, who had black wings and devilish horns on his back. Director Magellan. Magellan arrived. He dressed like a devil and did what Akainu did. In some ways it's even cooler. One is because of his identity and he needs to interrogate the prisoner, and the other is because the fruit's ability is too cruel. It is a weapon of torture. If it weren't for the obvious side effects of the fruit's ability, it would be prone to diarrhea. Perhaps he has long been qualified to aspire to the position of Marine Admiral. You two, it's a matter of great importance. We are all on our own. Some small frictions are inevitable. If the fight continues, it will damage the harmony. Moreover, the 2 prisoners on the ship are very important. They are criminals who have a bearing on the world structure. If anything happens, an accident occurred during the battle, which is not good for everyone. Magellan said naively, acting as peacemaker. Akainu looked at Fire Fist Ace and then at Pluton Rayleigh. As for Straw Hat and those supernovas, they were minor characters automatically filtered out of his mind. Of course, there is one exception. Jewelry Bonnie. When Bonnie saw Akainu, his expression turned ugly even when he saw Ultimate. TCH. This guy is so talkative. If we fight, we will have a chance. Kid snorted dissatisfied. If a fight breaks out, they might still have a chance to escape. In the end, Akainu's eyes fell on Levi, and he really wasn't sure how to control Levi's tolerance level. Afraid of self-defeating, I hope you can fulfill your obligations as a Marine, Akainu said calmly, and then ignored Levi. Instead, they began to hand over prisoners. At present, it is indeed the matters of these prisoners that are more important. Levi just smiled calmly and returned to normal. He knew that after Akainu said this, "You won't cause any more trouble for yourself. Since ancient times, fake fools have been afraid of real fools. Unfortunately, you don't know that I am also fake. Sakazuki, I know you too well." Levi thought to himself. "You're so weird today. First you promised to use Conqueror's Haki to help me tonight, but your attitude just now doesn't seem like your usual behavior." Gion whispered curiously. "You're welcome. Helping others is the basis of happiness. As for attitude is used to complete the purpose, not to show off to others," Levi said calmly. The handover of prisoners began soon. Monkey D. Luffy, detention level 55-6. Silver Rayleigh, detention level 55-6. Portgas D. Ace, detention level 55-6. Eustace, Kid, detention level, LV6. Kid, the 6th level of detention. Torifoggle Luo, detention level 55-6. Zoro and other supernovas are all imprisoned on the 5th floor of Impel Down. But there are two exceptions, Kid and Luo. Logically speaking, LV5 for these two people is enough to imprison them. But in fact, Kid's bounty is higher than Luffy's, and is also considered to be one of the 3 main culprits that harmed celestial dragons. And it killed many Marines and civilians in the first half. The situation is bad and has the potential of Conqueror's Haki, in order to make him feel more pain and squeeze out his value. He was sent to LV6 together. There, he will feel his own insignificance. And the horror of Impel Down. Eternal hell, where the torture is more mental. Kid's strength is no weaker than the current crocodile. Luo was not qualified in the first place. At most, he was imprisoned to LV6 just to punish him severely. But after the identity of the op fruit user was discovered, in order to study this devil fruit as much as possible, Luo, the future 7 warlords of the sea, was also given special attention. As for Luffy, Ace, and Rayleigh, they are definitely LV6 prisoners. No matter in terms of strength or status, they cannot be underestimated. LV6, who had just suffered the impact of Reiatsu, was not calm either. That was Conqueror's Haki. Probably, although it's a little strange, everyone's Conquerors is inherently different. Such a terrifying Conqueror's Haki, what kind of monster came to Impel Down? Did that guy Whitebeard get caught and Impel Down? No, this is not that old guy Whitebeard's Conquerors, the King of Evil affirmed. It would be interesting if he were a prisoner. I have never seen such a terrifying Haki. I really wonder what kind of monster has such a Haki. It can make LV6 criminals unanimously make this, unprecedented, evaluation. It is enough to prove how powerful the Haki just was. Boom. The cold door behind him fell heavily to the ground. Levi, Akainu, and Magellan escorted Rayleigh and the others deep into Impel Down. Many supernovae subconsciously look backward. That door would separate them from the real world from now on. As this Impel Down, Gion looked at Magellan, who was leading the way, and listened to the screams that echoed from time to time throughout the prison. A suffocating sense of despair enveloped every inch of the place. Cold, bloody, suffocating, heavy. Even Doberman's regular vice admiral felt slightly uncomfortable. It's like hell here. Usually Marine has nothing to do and doesn't want to stay in a place like this. Have you never been to Impel Down before? Levi felt a little strange when he heard Gion's words. You are already an admiral candidate. It is impossible that you have not even been in Impel Down. What am I doing here when I have nothing to do? Generally, when prisoners are captured, they will be transported by a unified prison ship. Even under special circumstances, they are only sent outside. I really don't understand. Just now Magellan invited you to come in and watch, why did you all agree? I'm here now, but I feel a little bit of a loss if I don't take a look. Do you think this is a tourist place? Is not it? Everyone. This admiral has such a big heart. Levi replied absent-mindedly. Now it's not a loss anyway. Because when I signed into Impel Down just now, the system dinged and actually gave him 2,000 attribute points. This is simply not too fragrant. Levi didn't hesitate at all and just added it all to Reiatsu. Ding. Reiatsu attribute points 7,500. Activate new ability. Reiatsu analysis. The soul is intimidated, the soul is seriously injured, and the perception is improved. In terms of statistics alone, Levi previously had 5,500 attribute points. Now it is directly increased to 7,500 points, which is nearly half. This is a pretty big improvement, though not big enough to instantly kill Marine Admiral. But if you just signed in first, if you collide with Akainu again, you can suppress Akainu more easily. And it made him lose his temper. At the same time, there is an additional Reiatsu analysis capability. This ability needs to be explored and understood later. But Levi is looking forward to it. After all, this is a skill that only appears after approaching advanced Reiatsu. Certainly extraordinary. And there are still 2,500 points to reach advanced level. When you reach a high level, maybe you will become truly invincible. The Holy Land should provide a lot of attribute points. Thinking of this, Levi licked his lips greedily. Perhaps, in terms of personal combat power alone, I have nothing to fear from anyone. But if two admirals go together, I'm afraid it will still be very troublesome, and Whitebeard's ability is too destructive, and Garp's combat power is still unknown. Or don't be careless. Levi felt the enhancement of his Reiatsu. Be confident but also vigilant. Being powerful doesn't mean you can't be killed. There are many strange ability users in this world. The prison baptistry is ahead. Magellan walked to the front and led the way. Normally Marine didn't follow up. The jailer took over the task of escorting the prisoners. Every prisoner must undergo a high-temperature sterilization baptism before going to prison. This is also to tell them that what they have to face next is a new life. Among the recent prisoners, Crocodile is a bit tougher. During the high-temperature baptism, he didn't even make a sound, most people would scream in agony. Domino, the beautiful warden with his hat tilted to one side, introduced everyone. There is no need to talk about how the pirates are doing. After ensuring that the prisoners are sent to the 6th floor, we will leave. The war with Whitebeard is about to begin. Akainu said coldly, he was not interested in the tough pirates at all, nothing. Yes, Domino saluted slightly panicked. Sakazuki's aura is too strong. When Akainu said this, he glanced at Levi. The meaning was obvious, he should return to the headquarters as soon as possible. Prepare to face the Whitebeard pirates. Don't worry, Impel Down is a good place, let's go shopping again. Levi didn't care what Akainu thought, and wasn't even afraid of offending him. The Reiatsu analysis ability he just acquired may require many experimental items. This place is just right. By the way, after she was imprisoned and baptized, she gave us a separate room. I have something to ask her. Akainu looked at Bonnie with complicated eyes. No problem. Interesting. The human soul, according to Reiatsu's analysis, turns out to be like this. Levi took the opportunity to ponder his new skills. As Rayleigh, Luffy and others came to enter the baptismal room. Baptism in prison was originally a lesson and a warning. For ordinary people, it is a hellish difficulty. But this time it surprised everyone. Especially the jailer who baptized Pluton. Rayleigh looked excited. This is a legendary figure who has performed prison baptisms for such people. Speaking out, that is an achievement as a jailer. See, Pluton, I did it. Don't look at there are so many legendary pirates on the 6th floor of Impel Down. But under normal circumstances, there are very few jailers who can reach the 6th floor. The main reason is that decades ago, Golden Lion Shiki deceived a jailer, brought weapons, and asked him to cut off his legs. He escaped from prison here, and from then on, most prison guards refused to let him go to the 6th floor. Rayleigh, Straw Hat, Kid, Luo, Fire Fist Ace. The 5 of them were baptized by the high temperature, and no one said a word. What a strong endurance, Domino admired. Miss Domino is also very cute. No way, Domino said shyly. Levi looked at Domino's outfit and praised it. He has a good temperament and appearance, and he is the warden of Impel Down like Shiryu. Although she remembers that she was seduced by Hancock and then turned into stone. But even so, after she woke up, she vaguely felt that her memory was a little blank. Levi thinks her dress is very trendy. Especially in Impel Down, it was almost like an angel emerged from a group of evil spirits. If it weren't for this huge contrast, Levi wouldn't be so moved. HMPH. Don't really think that someone is here for vacation. Guion reminded expressionlessly. I have been busy these days, dealing with all kinds of things, and I am exhausted both physically and mentally. I haven't seen you praise me, and now you praise others casually, huh? Are you implying that I want to give you a holiday? Speaking of which, I don't seem to have stipulated a holiday. I have to think about it later, but there seems to be no difference between working and taking a holiday. Listening to Levi's words, Guion resisted the urge to beat up this heartless boss. He actually said there is no difference between vacation and work. See, is this something a person can say? After several people were baptized in succession, a supernova finally screamed in pain due to the high-temperature baptism. This scream also told everyone that Impel Down is still the same Impel Down. It's just that the quality of the prisoners this time is a bit high. After all, there were 5 sent to the 6th floor alone. It's comparable to the total income in previous years. But when it was Bonnie's turn, he didn't scream. When I came out, I was in a terrible state. He was then taken away by Akainu. This has nothing to do with Levi. Levi began to study his new abilities. Now under Reiatsu's analysis, Levi can clearly see the structure of each person's soul. In the past, only a transparent layer of human figures could be seen. Now you can see all the energy components that make up them. It's like the picture quality has suddenly risen from ordinary definition to ultra-high definition Blu-ray, or even holographic. Attentive to every detail, Levi has an intuition that he can use Reiatsu to influence the souls of others. No longer limited to simple deterrence, killing, collision. Rather, it is the ability to transform editing. What would happen if the essence of one's soul were changed? Levi doesn't know, so he urgently needs to try it. Director Magellan, are there any death row prisoners? Levi asked. Yes, there are a few blind guys who escaped from prison today. They were originally going to be executed to scare the monkeys. If you need, I will have someone bring them over. No need to go to such trouble. Domino, you come with me to Guion. You follow them to the 6th floor. When you get to Impel Down, there is no need to be so vigilant. Nothing will happen. Levi was eager to try. His thoughts just now. I have no intention of following him to the 6th floor. I didn't expect the security in Impel Down to be so tight. Blackbeard followed at the back, looked around the 4 beauties, and sighed. His subordinates did not follow, but Blackbeard followed Magellan's name. Because everyone knows they don't know anything about Blackbeard. It's safer to stay with you. Mr. Teach is not researching how to escape from prison. Levi looked at Teach with a mysterious smile. How could it be possible? Black Crow Admiral is thinking too much. Blackbeard's eyes were condensed, but his expression remained unchanged and he said with sincerity. The acting was good, but it's a pity that the suspicion is unfounded. It's really hard to take action. After all, you are the hero now, but I look forward to the day, let's go. Levi said to Domino. Instead of facing a bunch of hellish demons like jailers or criminals. Levi would rather let a beautiful woman lead the way. I don't have any idea, it's just that there is no harm if there is no comparison. After all, as a woman, with Levi's current status, it doesn't matter how much she wants, there won't be much difference. The power in the hands of the Admiral is very high for ordinary people and kings, and belongs to the world's senior official level. Hearing Levi's words, Sakazuki subconsciously looked at Blackbeard. This immediately scared Blackbeard into a cold sweat. He looked at Levi walking away and felt a little confused. How could this guy know what he was thinking in his heart? Are you deceiving yourself, or does he know something special about observation Haki? Can you vaguely understand your own inner thoughts? But no matter which one it is, Akainu is the most troublesome level right now. Akainu is not a marine who follows rules. As long as he thinks Levi's statement makes sense, he might actually kill him. Akainu's reputation is not very good even among marine pirates. Hateful. This fool wants to leave temporarily and leaves himself with such a big trouble. Sakazuki Admiral, don't listen to what Black Crow Admiral said. I just want to become 7 warlords of the sea. I have no other ideas. What? The red hair disappeared in the New World. Can't find any news now. He took the initiative to attack the Kaido pirates before and had contact with the Whitebeard pirates, but it is not clear whether the two captains have been in contact. How so? Marshal Sengoku, who was in the Holy Land, was deeply disturbed when he heard the message from the New World surveillance ship. Marshal Sengoku has made a detailed analysis of the character and behavior of each 4 emperor's strongman. The redhead acted like this during such a sensitive period. Definitely unusual. There is a high probability that he is planning something. Against a Whitebeard pirate group, their winning rate is extremely high. But if you add red hair pirates, this is not a war they want to fight. They couldn't possibly fight a war where the odds of winning were almost 50-50. Because they are the only ones who order the sea. Can't afford to gamble, can't afford to lose. Sengoku couldn't imagine what the whole world would be like if he lost this battle. The red-haired man has 3 goals. One is to rescue Pluton Rayleigh, and the other is to rescue Straw Hat Luffy. It was mentioned in the intelligence that he was the man who led Straw Hat Luffy to become a pirate. At the moment, both of them are in the Impel Down. Does he want to invade Impel Down and rescue Rayleigh and Straw Hat? A Straw Hat alone shouldn't have that much weight, but if you add Rayleigh and Roger's possible arrangements, it might be worth the risk. What on earth is the redhead thinking? A man who is hard to see through. Sengoku racked his brains, trying to sort out the red-haired next move from all the information. But after sorting it out, he was a little unsure. Normally, this is how he predicted the red-haired Shanks' next move. There was no problem, but at the end, Sengoku was a little unsure. Because in several incidents, red-haired Shanks always did things that were beyond expectations. In addition to this, the third point is to cooperate with the Whitebeard pirates to fight against the Marine headquarters. But this is not good for him. Rayleigh and Straw Hat are not at the headquarters, but if the goal is changed again, to defeat the Impel Down, if so, the possibility is even greater. It seems that Impel Down needs to be on higher alert, and even an admiral must be left there. With the favorable geographical environment and Magellan, even if the Whitebeard and red-haired Shanks are able to temporarily join forces to attack Impel Down, they can still defend it in a short time. Although it is unlikely, the worst-case scenario must be considered. Marshal Sengoku picked up the phone and quickly made arrangements for the disappearance of red-haired Shanks. Because he knew that the red-haired Shanks jumped out of their surveillance range. And he has been hiding his whereabouts all the way, and he definitely has an agenda. I'm just not sure when it will break out. And the Whitebeard pirates, after the newspaper was released. Everything is as he expected. The various pirate groups under Whitebeard are gathering. The Marine headquarters also issued an elite call-up order and the 7 warlords of the sea to Marine bases around the world. It's just the red hair thing that makes Sengoku very uneasy. And this matter still needs to be discussed with the 5 elders and Marshal Kong. See what they think and see if there is any other information for reference. And the unexpected incident of the Whitebeard pirates. I wonder if the celebration party that Levi is thinking about will be delayed. But then again, why does he care so much about this? It seems like he usually doesn't want to care about anything. He doesn't seem like someone who is overjoyed with success. In addition, Garp, who was out of town, returned to the Marine headquarters. I heard from the adjutant that he looked for me several times in one day. If I don't answer his phone call, I'm afraid I will go directly to Impel Down or the Holy Land. But I haven't thought about what to say yet, and I didn't know that this time, there are 2 grandsons of Garp. I thought there was only one. Sengoku also felt a headache when he thought of this. Because they've been caught, it's hard to let them go. New World. Skull Island was once a place where countless powerful people gathered in the Rocks Pirate. Also known as Pirate Island, the future home of 4 emperors Blackbeard. But now it is the meeting place of the Whitebeard pirates. Following Whitebeard's orders, one after another world-famous pirate groups gathered one after another. But in just one day, more than tens of thousands of pirates gathered here. After 2 weeks, I'm afraid at least hundreds of thousands of pirates will gather here. But in the end, only the elite and skilled players can participate in the battle. Because the ordinary low-level pirates are of little use and will only die in vain. Those who can participate are all master pirates who have bounties on their hands. At this moment Whitebeard is sitting in a building, drinking wine. Marco didn't stop him this time because he felt he also needed a drink to calm down. Dad, do you think that red-haired guy is crazy? He is planning to attack the Marine headquarters without bringing his pirate group with him. Fortunately, he dares to think that if he comes with us, there may be a chance. It's a pity that he refused. He just came to tell us that we should take advantage of this opportunity and create opportunities for him. The red-haired boy is cunning, but he probably can't wait. Maybe there is some secret in Rayleigh. Since he plans to attack Marine headquarters must be prepared, he will not die in vain. Marine has just issued a summons order now, and the strongmen will not arrive so quickly. Maybe they can catch the Marine headquarters by surprise. If this is the case, it will be of great benefit to us latecomers. Whitebeard has lost his usual air of decadence and age. The whole person became energetic and his eyes were full of sharp light. Like an unsheathed sword. Is anyone refusing to come? Whitebeard suddenly asked calmly. Currently, none of the pirates under my command have any idea of retreating, Marco said proudly. This is the charm of Daddy Whitebeard, even if it means launching a war against the Marine headquarters. Of the 43 pirates under his command, not one of them flinched. If you want to fight, fight. Follow Dad, even if you die without regrets. Marco, this will be a very difficult battle. If anything happens, you will be needed to lead everyone. But although Whitebeard was proud, he also realized something. Dad, you can't. Don't worry, I'm just saying it in case. Ace hasn't been rescued yet, so don't say anything depressing, la 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 la. Akainu finally just glanced at Blackbeard coldly and said nothing more. The group continued towards the 6th floor. Akainu couldn't possibly attack Blackbeard just because of a word. Now the news has been reported to the world. Blackbeard is in existence, close to Marine headquarters. People entrusted Marine with such an important figure as Fire Fist Ace. Marine then turned around and killed him for something without evidence. How will the world view the Marine in the future? Who dares to get close to Marine and do things for Marine? So even Akainu thinks Blackbeard might have another purpose. But for the sake of the overall situation, before there is any evidence, there was no way he could lay a hand on Blackbeard. There are new guests here. It's really rare. Magellan escorted them personally, huh? That's Marine Admiral Akainu. As soon as they entered the 6th floor, a strong man noticed them. There are several powerful auras, and some are still very childish. Well, 5 people are shackled, do they all need to be locked up on the 6th floor? Hey, isn't it? These little guys also need to be locked up on the 6th floor. Are today's pirates no longer good? It's really useless. If I go out, I will turn the world upside down. Many fanatics always have daydreams that even they themselves don't believe. How is that possible? Silver Rayleigh. Suddenly a horrified voice sounded on the empty 6th floor, as if he had seen a ghost. As soon as these words came out, the other crazy criminals who were originally uninterested and in a daze all suddenly woke up. Pluton Rayleigh, even in the entire 6th level, can definitely be ranked among the top 3 characters. Many people who came in later knew. Since Roger's death, many members of the Roger Pirates have disappeared. Bullet, who did not disappear at first and made a lot of noise on the sea, has already been in jail for more than 10 years. The bottom of the cell was almost penetrated. Really or not, that guy Pluton was also arrested. Who did it? Garp. People kept coming out of observation Haki and approaching. Because today is a wind day. The special shielding on the 6th floor is not turned on. Not entering that infinite dark hell that is so silent that it can drive you crazy. Let them communicate so that they don't go crazy. Crazy people are of little value. But as soon as he probed, Akainu snorted and used emission Haki to shatter everything. Red Dog, don't be too arrogant. When Lousy goes out one day, I will kill you. If you get married and start a business, Lousy will kill your whole family. Someone immediately screamed in dissatisfaction. They are not afraid of death, and many even seek death. Here, if Impel Down people don't want them to die, it is difficult for them to die. Akainu didn't even look at him, he was just a bunch of helpless and barking lost dogs. Vice Captain Rayleigh, Bullet, who was exercising, suddenly looked up. "Huh, Straw Hat Boy, ha ha ha, you're here too. Arrogant brat." The cell where Crocodile was located was relatively close to the stairs. Straw Hat Luffy was soon spotted. "There is no place in life that we don't meet. Sand Crocodile, why are you here?" Straw Hat Luffy wondered how he could meet acquaintances while sitting in prison. And he's still someone he doesn't like. "If I'm not here, where can I go?" Sand Crocodile frowned slightly, if he hadn't known that this kid was lacking a muscle. "I thought Straw Hat was here to mock me. It's really Rayleigh. Yeah, ha ha ha. Old guy, you finally came in. When you knocked us down and sent us in, did you ever think about this day?" An old man could hardly walk and his teeth were too fast. The naked pirate taunted Pluton Rayleigh. "Interesting. It seems like something big happened outside. Otherwise, Marine wouldn't take the risk of doing something like him." "Hey, Rayleigh, why did you get arrested? Did something happen outside?" Someone said something, he asked in a loud voice. Rayleigh didn't bother to reply to them. "It seems that it won't be deserted in a short time. Has our era finally passed?" The Red Earl, who had been in prison for decades, calmly stared into the distance. He was born with observation Haki at the level of listening to the heart. He has been able to hear other people's voices since he was a child, and can even control other people's memories with observation Haki. One person alone is said to be on equal footing with the Whitebeard pirates and the Roger pirates. The final battle was with Kong, who had been Marine Marshal for decades, and he successfully defeated Kong. But in the end he ran out of energy and was taken down by Garp and sent into Impel Down. It is the most powerful monster in the entire 6th floor. But it's just that the people who were once and now are old. Take Firefist and Rayleigh to separate cells, and throw Straw Hat, Kid and Luo in the same cell," Magellan ordered. Yes, the jailers led the people away, causing a lot of commotion along the way. Prisoners kept asking questions. "You guys are so noisy." Luffy couldn't help but say, facing so many ghosts and monsters, he had no fear at all. "Boy, you are really brave. You have committed some crime to get here. Fight the celestial dragons." Ha ha ha, at such a young age, he is actually a lunatic, Gia ha ha ha. Is there anyone in Roger's original cell? After walking for a while, Rayleigh suddenly asked the jailer behind him with a smile. "What, you want to go to his cell? That's the highest level. I hope to die in the place where my captain once stayed. This is not too much to ask. If you want to find fault for yourself, I won't stop you. Thank you very much. This is just an inconspicuous thing." Black Crow Admiral. There is a 4th Admiral in the Marine headquarters. Someone who is good at detecting and finding out some information from the new prisoner's mouth. Rayleigh was also captured by the Black Crow Admiral. Is the Marine headquarters so powerful now? He's here. I really want to meet this so-called Marine Admiral, the 4th. I heard he's only about 20 years old. What? No way. That guy Rayleigh was knocked down by a junior, wasn't he Garp? I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.